we did Final Fantasy IX with only attacks. We crushed Final Fantasy VIII with only magic, and we absolutely destroyed Final Fantasy X with only items. But now, after many requests from you guys, it's time to see if I can beat Final Fantasy VII with no materia. I'm Primalliquid and welcome to my latest challenge run. Before we start though, let's go over the rules. Number 1, no materia is allowed to be equipped at all. Number 2, Cloud and Red 13's starting materia has to be removed as soon as possible, but before then I'm not allowed to use any of the materia abilities. Number 3, no items are allowed in battle, however they are allowed outside on the field. Number 4, limit breaks are allowed because, you know, they block attacks if you don't use them. And number 5, even though limit breaks are allowed, we are not allowed to use slots. Let's make sure we at least have some challenge here. Also, just as a point of reference, I'm writing this script as I go. As such, I have no idea what is going to happen yet. Honestly though, I'm not overly worried about most of the game. Carry armor could be annoying, and likewise I'm worried about healing throughout later parts of the game. Temple of the Ancients might also be a little iffy, along with bosses who like to inflict a lot of status effects. And as always guys, these videos do take a lot of effort and time to create. So if I could ask you guys to leave a like and a comment, because it helps me tremendously when fighting the algorithm. Also, follow me on Twitter, which is linked down in the description, along with my Twitch channel, Discord server, and Patreon page, which you should also totally check out. With that out of the way, let's start. So the game starts out with a strange spiky-haired blonde jumping off of a train and taking a sword to a gunfight. So straight off the bat, he's not too smart, is he? He starts with 2 materia equipped as well, but we currently have no way to remove it just yet. And so because of the rules, we're not allowed to use his magic at all. And we have to remove the materia as soon as possible later. Turns out though, he's a YouTuber, and well, he changed his name to Subscribe in an effort to grow. Let's all follow his wishes. Now, moving on into the reactor, we meet the lovable Big Bear. With such a technology fetish, he was named after Twitter. I instantly put Twitter in the back row since he's a long-range character, and therefore deals full damage from the back row while taking reduced damage. Working my way through the reactor, my health starts getting a little low, but I'm cocky at this point and decide not to heal before we pick up the trash restore materia, which we can never use, and we fight a giant robot scorpion. I go into the fight with Subscribe's limit already charged, and then it's a case of spamming attack while waiting once the tail is raised, so I don't get countered. Sadly though, due to horrible timing on my part, I mistime one of my attacks and get countered. Subscribe dies an early death. Twitter is also getting lower and lower. Thankfully though, a nicely timed limit break saves the day just before he dies as well. I'm still cocky though and don't heal at all. I do start running away from fights as we escape though, because I'm a chicken. So we blow up what is essentially a nuclear reactor and meet hot red dress waifu. I try and buy her for 1 gil, completely missing she's on about charging for a flower and not her flower. Damn. Damn. Well, let's do the next best thing and hitch a ride on the train and head to a bar where we find Subscribe's apparent illegitimate daughter and also Boobs the barmaid. On the next day, we finally get to unequip Subscribe's materia and also leave a 4-year-old home alone to look after a pup while we go blow up another nuclear reactor. Man, talk about life choices in this world. So, sell off all the materia since we don't need it and buy 3 iron bangles so we survive a little longer. Then continue on until Airbuster. I start with a nice big limit break from Twitter dealing massive damage. Likewise, Boobs also has her limit break as well. Then it's just a case of attack, get countered, and more attacks. Because of the counters though, Twitter gets a second limit break which we use to win the fight and earn the titanium bangle for a nice defense boost. Next up, we meet Waifu, also known as I Die Sad Face. So, after those 25-year-old spoilers, it's time to move on. Crossdress in Wall Market and wish we were doing this on the remake for Eris Red Dress, and then it's on to Raps in the Sewer. I make sure to go into this fight with I Die's limit break for emergency healing if need be, while Subscribe and Boobs wail on him. Sadly, I Die lived up to her namesake and actually died, because Raps decided to wail on her the entire fight. Aside from that one little thing, the fight went smoothly. Next up, we have the first of many fights with Reno. He has an irritating pyramid mechanic where he can trap a party member, and I need to attack them to break the pyramid, but that's about all he has. Nobody died and no real effort was needed for this fight. Afterwards, everybody in Sector 7 dies. I Die is kidnapped, and we're going to overthrow the local ruler. Let's go. Back in Wall Market, buy some mithril armlets for everybody and a metal knuckle and mithril rod, then continue on until the next boss. 60 flights of stairs for no reason, other than I was watching anime while doing this part and didn't want to take my eyes away. Least it doesn't take an entire 60 minutes like in the remake. We recruit our little Poochie Doge and have a boss battle against an experiment who makes short work of me. Like, seriously, I was not expecting this. I got poisoned nearly instantly, with Doge and Twitter dying within seconds. Sadly, Subscribe didn't fare much better either, dying just a few turns later. Okay, time to grind a little. I'm sad I can't steal the hard edge though. And due to limited potions, I can only gain a few levels here while ensuring I go into the boss with full health. I probably should have planned ahead a little better, but I do make sure Subscribe and Twitter have their limit breaks charged. Attempt number 2 goes a little better, but still ends the same way. Although I did waste Twitter's limit break on Mind Blow, hoping it would get rid of the experiment's MP. No good though. So, attempt number 3, where I also give the star pendant to Twitter instead of Subscribe. This time I throw everything at the boss. Thankfully, he misses Doge with his poison as well, only getting Subscribe with it. Then it's a constant back and forth, but I made one horrible blunder. Because of a targeting mistake, I kinda make Doge kill off Subscribe. Thankfully though, Twitter was still able to get the job done. I need to be mindful of future blocks when it comes to healing and grinding. This nearly turned out bad enough that I nearly had to restart my playthrough to get more healing items. After the boss, I'm finally able to change my party and put I Die back in, which means I now have healing again. And I'm going to make use of this right now to do a little leveling. I get everybody up to level 15 and charge their limit breaks before moving on and running from every random battle. Next, we have 2 boss battles with a split up party. First is Twitter, Doge, and I Die. I managed to take the first boss out pretty easily with Doge dropping down to yellow health while saving Healing Winged for when I need it. The second fight though really taught me a nasty lesson by poisoning I Die and then putting her to sleep, and doing the exact same thing to Twitter right after, resulting in a game over. For attempt number 2, I give I Die the star pendant to protect her from poison and try again. I waste I Die's limit in the hopes Seal Evil will inflict stop, but honestly I should have known better. Of course the boss would be immune to stop. I managed to get through the first boss okay, but again I Die died before she could heal me in the second fight. I very nearly had it though. If I could have just got Twitter's last limit break off, I would have killed it. So, attempt number 3. Although Doge dies just before the first boss, it's not a major deal as I'm able to go into the second fight with Twitter having full health, and that ultimately lets me win. I Die gets put to sleep and poisoned with the boss focusing on Twitter, and then one hit away from death, I get another limit break allowing me to kill the boss just in time. Excellent. The only problem now is I need to win the next boss fight with subscribe, otherwise I have to redo the previous fight. Thankfully though, it's no problem. I use cross slash to kill the Panther in one hit, get a bunch of normal attacks in on Rufus while he hits back charging my limit break, and I finish him off with a cross slash as well, while staying over 200 HP. In what seems like a boss rush though, after we escape Midgar, after the bike sequence, we have to fight another boss, the Motorballer. However, I set up the party as Subscribe, Twitter, and I Die, with Subscribe being in the back row and the other two in the front row. The reason for this is Motorballer back attacks us and flips our order around, so this way I Die and Twitter will actually be in the back row while Subscribe will be in the front row. I start off by having a smacking contest using limit breaks whenever they come up. However, he hits pretty damn hard and does a hit on all my party members, which nearly kills them. It gives Subscribe and Twitter a full limit break to use, but not I Die, the one person who I need it for. Thankfully, he hits her again and she somehow survives the hit, giving her her limit break. I managed to get a healing wind off just in time for the boss's next party-wide attack that would have absolutely killed my entire party without it. But we managed and the boss died. So, with that, we complete Final Fantasy VII. Oh, wait, this isn't the remake? We actually have a full game here. Well, let's continue then. Before I leave Midgar, I choose once again my traveling party, and this time it's Subscribe, Twitter, and I Die. I Die is pretty much mandatory given she's the only healing we have in battle for now. But it's time for an annoying part. We need to cross the marsh. Normally, you would use a chocobo, but we can't use materia, so that's out of the question. So we're going to use the save and load trick instead. By saving when the Zolom is close to us, we can then reload the save to spawn him in a different area, allowing us to make our way safely across. In the end though, I didn't even need to do that, as I time it just right and make it across in one stretch. I do, however, grind limit breaks for Subscribe, Twitter, and I Die in the Mithril Cave to unlock them all now to help with things later. Resting at Fort Condor when I need to heal. This wasn't all that fast though, due to I Die having really weak attacks, so getting her kills was kinda a pain. But her limits are going to let me cheese so many bosses later. For now though, it's time to recruit Yuffie, the single most important person for this entire run. We call her Fladdy due to her lack of plot and being pure justice. If you don't get this reference, you're a sweet summer child. Now, replace Twitter with her and get her second limit break unlocked. I set I Die to her second set of limits. The reason for this is simple. Fladdy will be our healer with Clear Tranquil, and I Die has the limit Fury Brand, which when used gives other party members a full limit break, meaning I can now get off effectively 4 limits at once. Which is exactly what I do in the next boss fight against Bottomswell. Grease Lightning and 2 Meteor Rains absolutely destroys him with no effort. Next up is Genova Birth, who dies exactly the same way. I know I'm still early game, but damn, this challenge is easier than I thought it would be now. Oh well, onto the casino where everybody dies and we take the blame for it. Oh, and we get a new party member who is totally not Reeve. Next up is Dying, who, well, dies to a single anger max. As you can see right now, we have no issues with any of these early bosses because I got limit breaks earlier. So let's skip forward a little bit. I don't bother recruiting Vincent because while his death penalty is nice, I don't want to farm kills with him again. We do, however, recruit the Old Dragoon and steal his plane, which is actually a boat, but really it's only like a canoe because it only works on shallow water. In the Temple of the Ancients, I pick up all the weapons and the ribbon. The weapons here are excellent for this sort of run because they have no materia slots, but have insanely high damage. Perfect. Ribbon also makes somebody immune to nearly all statuses as well. The downside is the boss here is actually tough, and there's 2 of them, nearly back to back. First is the red dragon. I go into this fight with all 3 limit breaks because I know I'm going to need the boost for these 2 fights. And while it gets dicey with Fladdy going all the way down to just 42 HP, a Meteor Rain, 2 clear tranquils, and a few normal attacks allow me to take it out. I'm in a little trouble though. I'm getting hit like a truck now. At least I can save after the dragon, which I completely forgot about. I also go ahead and refill my limit breaks in the area where I fought the dragon to prepare for the next boss, the Demon Wall. Now, I know Demon Wall is going to be pure evil. He hits hard and has AoE attacks, so I go full cheese mode here. I use Clear Tranquil to heal his opening damage, Meteor Rain to deal a nice chunk of damage, and then I use Fury Brand to get my limits back, allowing me to repeat the process for a quick win. Sadly though, this will be my last ever use of Fury Brand. Onto the Forgotten City now, where we fight Genova live, right after I dies. It's okay, I equip Fladdy with the water ring we picked up earlier, which makes her literally invincible this fight. All of Genova's attacks here are water element, which Fladdy now absorbs. So, needless to say, I won this fight after just 2 limits. Next up is Shizo at Gaia's Cliff, which sadly kicked my ass. Like, I wasn't even close. My health pool was just way too low compared to the damage he was putting out. So I do a short grind and try equipping Dragon Armlets on everybody, which halves fire and ice damage, along with giving everybody the Fury status, and try again. This time I get really lucky. Meteor Rain hits the right head with every single hit, dealing massive damage. Thanks to the Dragon Armlet, I also take a lot less damage. Clear Tranquil comes in to heal the damage I take, but it starts to get out of hand. I eventually manage to kill the Firehead, but Shizo returns the favour with some strong single target and AoE attacks that result in Subscribe dying like a dog. So now it's 2v1. I start saving Fladdy's turns for emergency Clear Tranquils, which end up being used the moment I get them, until finally we manage to defeat it. But with its dying breath, it uses another AoE attack, which kills off Flatty. Thankfully, Twitter survives it. Barely, but that's good enough for me. It just shows though that I'm underleveled for this kind of challenge now. I need more health quite badly, so I need to do a grind. Next boss is Genova, and sadly Tifa is mandatory here. But thankfully that doesn't matter. Genova only attacks with fire attacks this time, so you can give somebody Fire Armlet to absorb them all. And guess what I forgot to equip? So I do this the hard way, by slugging away slowly. Boobs does end up dying due to low health, but Subscribe and Fladdy are just too much for Genova to handle. Fast forward quite a bit here to the next boss, Ultima Weapon. Although this isn't really much of a boss, since the idea is just to survive a few turns. I do, however, upgrade everybody's equipment in Medial to really ramp up my damage and defense. Now that Subscribe is back, however, it's time to really do a big grind, since the boss I'm most worried about is coming up. So I grind around Medial until level 50, and then it's time for Carry Armor. And it went as well as I was expecting, with me being brutally destroyed, like really brutally. So I try again with Fury status. This time I managed to down both of the arms, but still end up losing to constant laser beams. He also grabbed me right off the bat this time as well. So I guess my previous grind just wasn't enough, and if Carry Armor is this bad, the final Sephiroth is gonna be brutal beyond belief. So time to bite the bullet and grind to 70-ish on everybody. I also changed Barrett's limit break to his level 4. Thankfully, this time, with all the extra health and damage, I managed to take him out without even really needing to heal, even with Twitter getting grabbed right off the bat. So thankfully, the run doesn't die here, but now I'm even more worried for Sephiroth later. Won't even mention Rude in Rocket Town, given he died to a single meteor rain, so it's on to Diamond Weapon, who I was actually expecting to be a run ender. If you don't know, you can't actually attack Diamond Weapon normally until after it uses Diamond Flash, an attack that reduces everybody's health by 7/8, which I think is around somewhere like 12% health remaining. Thankfully though, limits still work, and that's how we crushed it in a single round. Next up is the Turks, with all 3 of them. I'm sure you can guess how this goes. Because of that grind we had to do for carry armor, they get absolutely crushed. Proud Clod, while it took a little longer, again gave no issue whatsoever, and we even got a good weapon for Cloud from it. But now the fight I'm worried about is coming up, and for safety, I give Yuffie the ribbon. But the fight went a lot better than expected. We did nearly lose Cloud to poison, but a well-timed clear Tranquil kept him alive just long enough for me to deal the final blow to his 3rd form. Honestly, I'm actually shocked this went so smoothly. I did get lucky though, in the sense that he kept targeting Yuffie with his status attacks. Now though, it's the final stretch. The last dungeon. The fights are long and hard to get through, and then we have Genova and 2 Sephiroth forms, which don't even let me heal between them or change limit breaks. This is where I think the run will be impossible with my rule set. While no materia is very possible, the fact in my rules means I can't use items or slots at all, means getting through all 3 fights will be down to luck mostly, but let's see. I managed to make it to Genova with 2 limit breaks and get the kill while only being hit once. So far, so good. No limit breaks left, but I do get to enter the first Sephiroth fight with nearly full health across the board. That's a win in my eyes. Now, for Bizarro. But before that, I completely forgot it gives me a menu chance, meaning I can heal. Double win. So now I'm into the fight with full health. What sucks though is I've majorly ignored the other characters, so their equipment is quite lacking. An oversight, since I forgot that Bizarro has you using multiple parties. This is gonna suck. The fight starts off by breaking my heart when I see how much he heals by every single goddamn turn. I managed to kill off the limbs, but the regen is simply more than I can keep up with. Even by defending until all 3 characters have a limit break, I just can't put out enough damage. At this point, I know I might need to change parties and grind to level 99. Before I commit to the change though, I try again at level 90 plus after I decide to give up on healing, as well by changing Yuffie over to her level 3 limit break, and getting her Conformer weapon. So now I'm going in as hard as possible, and as fast as possible. Using the knowledge from before, I managed to rig the Genova fight successfully to start the Sephiroth encounter with max limits on all 3 characters, to give me the best possible start. I do this by weakening Genova until being 1 hit away from death, and then I time my attack with her so that after she attacks me, I attack her back. I start off with Gauntlet on Yuffie to kill the annoying appendages, allowing Catastrophe and Meteor Rain to deal as much damage to the body as possible. Or so I thought. With my new levels and strategy, Bizarro gets absolutely destroyed. I really was not expecting this at all, especially with how badly he crushed me before. But Now it's on to safer Sephiroth, where I instantly open up with Meteor Rain and then slam him with normal hits. Yuffie is dealing a glorious 9,000 plus damage. Barret a meager 100 plus, and Cloud between 2 and 5,000. The downside here is that Cloud is level 99, meaning Safer is actually a little stronger than normal. Sadly, when leveling, I tried to get greedy and rig the EXP so that Cloud would only stay level 98, but an unlucky battle on the way down to Safer ensured I hit 99 with him. The battle continues and Barret gets taken all the way down to just 1,600 health and gets hit by Mini. But that's okay, his damage is so low right now, I don't care. What I do care about is the fact he's taking hits for Yuffie. Right now, she's my linchpin, since Safer flies up, meaning Cloud can no longer attack him. But eventually, he uses Supernova. And that was his worst mistake. Supernova will only take people down to near death, meaning because of their health and fury status, it refilled my limits on everybody, allowing me to kill him with a Meteor Rain. And then we're on to the last fight of the game. A single Omni Slash later, and the challenge is complete. Honestly, I was worried about this run. No materia runs have been done before, but my extra no item ruling was a big worry for me in terms of healing. Then, when we had the damage issue on Bizarro, the first time I got really worried. But, thankfully, Yuffie and her overpowered Conformer saves the day. Overall, a challenge that was hard in places I didn't expect, easy in places I didn't expect, and a major headache. I actually started this challenge about 10 months ago, but only just now got around to finishing it. And I wonder if you can tell the point in this video where I dropped and then picked the challenge back up. Brownie points to you if you can. But though everybody, I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it entertaining. If you did, then please be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below, as they help more than you can know. Hit subscribe while you're there as well so you don't miss my next challenge, FF8 using only summons. And if you want to help me out on another level, then take a look at my Twitter, Twitch, and Discord links in the description. And of course, there's also the Patreon link if you want to take a look at that. Well, enough plugging now, so once again, thanks for watching everybody, and I'll see you soon.